Hello everybody, it's Scott here from HeyUGuys. Hope you're well and welcome back to another video review. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Netflix's new original film, The Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron. There she is, amongst a plethora of a pretty impressive ensemble. This film comes onto Netflix on Friday, July the 10th. On today's episode, I'm joined by Stefan Pape.
Hi.
And Linda Marric.
Hello.
And I will preface this review, sorry, I paused a little bit there. Preface this review by saying that we will be talking of mild to major spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, you've been warned that we're going to talk about some plot points that may give the film away. Well, it will give the film away. So if you haven't, go away and come back and watch this video once you've seen the film. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe on our YouTube channel, and there's your comments below if you like the film, if you didn't like the film, and everything else in between. So The Old Guard, this is based on a graphic novel, which I didn't know, and we've all kind of discovered this, and sure everybody else will discover as well. But Stefan, can you just give us a very quick, brief rundown of The Old Guard?
Yeah, so Charlize Theron plays Andy, and she's a warrior who is immortal and has lived for, she's not sure she quite gives it away, but we gather thousands of years. And she is sort of leading a group of mercenaries who are keeping their immortality secretive, but in the background of our lives are protecting the mortal world, and have been doing so for centuries. And they discover they have a new member. New members don't come around very often. I think they said the last one was in like 1812. And this is Nile, played by Kiki Layne. I keep wanting to say KD Lang when I say that. Kiki Layne. And yes, I mean, obviously there are a big nefarious, nasty group of people that want to eliminate their threat and nullify their amazing powers. And it's a kind of, yeah, it's a group of immortal people somehow being faced with a threat, which you wouldn't think would be a real thing, really. You'd think they'd be quite safe in their immortality, but such is the well-made nature of this film that we believe in all the stakes.
Yes, the power of social media, being tracked by satellites, etc., etc. So this is obviously this is based on a graphic novel. Obviously, comic book superheroes, etc., are such big business these days. So it's no surprise that Netflix have started to do some of these. But Linda, I mean, this isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, I don't think. But what did you make of the film, and do you think it's something that people will enjoy?
I knew nothing about this film before I started to watching it. I am so thankful that I knew nothing about it, because the first sort of, thing that happens in it, and where you go, what? That is, you can't buy that, and that is brilliant. I'm so glad I never Googled it or looked at Wikipedia. I'm just so glad that I got that payoff, and I look forward to everyone else finding that out by themselves once they've watched the film, and then, after they've watched this review. I loved the film, loved it. And I'm not someone who likes big sort of action-y things. And I like superhero movies. I like sci-fi fantasy. But my idea of sci-fi fantasy, it's that one that is story-led. You can take out all the action from it. I'm interested in the characters and where their story arc and where they go, what happens to them, their love story. And there's this beautiful gay love story in there as well, between two of the characters that I loved. I think it's perfect. I wasn't too sold with the sort of continuous sort of fights and every 5 minutes. Take that out for me. But I completely understand that's what most people want from a superhero movie. For me, I could just sit with those characters, with them chatting with each other for another couple of hours. And I think without giving anything away, and I think this is obvious, this is meant to be, is this a Netflix made movie? So I think it's set up to be a franchise, and I'm really hoping that the second one gets made, providing this does well. I really liked it. And I have Charlize Theron, again, fantastic. I love her, adore her. I just, she's kick-ass in this. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
So Stefan, is this new franchise or old hand, tired hand, shall we say, or do you agree with Linda's perspective on this one?
I know it probably makes better viewing if I disagree with Linda, but I actually agree with her again on this front. I really enjoyed it. I think that I do also agree about one thing, which is that I loved just the characters in this world, and I'm always a bit skeptical about getting into a whole new universe. We obviously spoke about Artemis Fowl and the whole when you enter a new world and take on all these new rules and terms and stuff, it can be a bit kind of like, oh, am I too old for this now? But I really sort of just fell in love with the characters, and it shows how when the writing is good, you can abide by anything in cinema. You can believe in anything. And I thought that their action scenes were actually some of the weaker parts for me. I just liked it when they were all just sitting around talking as a group. I really loved that. And I think that it manages to be really kind of gritty as well, which I liked. I like the fact that it felt quite real, even though it was such a fantastical kind of storyline. Because was there a film called like R.I.P.D.? Is that the one with Jeff Bridges that came out that kind of again... Yeah. And that was just absurd and over the top. And I think there is a way to bring in surreal kind of fantasy superhero elements into a movie, but keep it grounded and very human, which is what this did. And Charlize Theron, I mean, she's amazing. She is honestly just everything she does, every character she plays can be so different to the last. And I buy into it every time. She can do anything. I just think she's amazing. And I really enjoyed this. I think Netflix, again, are sitting on a really good film.
Yeah, I do love Charlize Theron. She's fantastic, especially in action movies. She really gets that's the one thing. The thing I loved about the movie was how kind of muscular it was. Like you could feel everybody was doing what they were doing, and it didn't feel like it was just, obviously there's amazing stunt people out there, but it's one of those that when you get that kind of grittiness and kind of, you know, those shaky cams, everything, but when you do it well, which is what's done very well in this movie, that it adds an extra layer of tension, of action, of all that kind of stuff. However, I will disagree and say I thought it was, outside of that, a bit boring. I thought it was pretty boring, to be fair. So I'm going to be the controversial one. It's very rare, very rare. You know me, I'm pretty straight. But no, I wasn't a huge fan of this. And so apart from some of the action sequences that were seen on the plane, particularly, I really, really enjoyed. I thought it sagged a lot outside of all the big action movies. I didn't really get into the characters. I wasn't a huge fan of the world. And I thought it was quite tired and, to quote the title, a bit old and haggard. Felt a bit like I've seen this before. Wasn't really doing much new. Obviously, you know me, I'm a big superhero guy anyway. But I just didn't work for me. I really, really wanted to enjoy it because I liked a lot of the performances. I love Matthias Schoenaerts. He's always great. Chiwetel, but I think he was a bit wasted in this, which he is sometimes in some movies anyway. And Kiki Layne was obviously great in it. Beale Street, and she's great in this, as is Charlize. So the performances are really good and the action stuff's pretty good, but outside of that, there wasn't much that I connected to or could. I found myself struggling to keep up with it in terms of being a bit bored and not really enjoying what was happening outside of those sequences. So I have to say it's a bit of a disappointment for me. So I was really looking forward to it because I love Charlize and it looked exactly my cup of tea, but for some reason I just didn't get it. And again, we talked about on Greyhound about the cinema experience. Perhaps with Netflix, this might have had limited release. It might have been different, but I just had this feeling that I just, either way, I would have felt the same, I think. So I was very, very disappointed with this. It's not terrible. There's lots of good stuff in it, but on the whole, I thought it was a bit dull, to be fair. And,
I think if you are a fan of traditional superhero movies, this might seem a little bit tame and not your cup of tea. Totally get that. I completely understand that and I get it. But what I loved about it isn't the action. And what I loved about it is their stories. I want to know more, and there is space there to sort of carry on the story elsewhere. And I have to disagree with you there. I just think that, again, as I said, I'm more into story-led stuff, character-led stuff. I have zero interest in action. In fact, whenever there was an action sort of bit, I would literally just forward to the bit where they're talking to each other, because that's what I'm interested in. I want to know what motivates these people. I have zero interest in them fighting each other, and but I've always been like that. I think you are either someone who's very much into action, superhero stuff, or someone who's more into the sort of the interactions between the people. But it's good to disagree. We can't all like the same thing, can we?
No, but also I will say my favorite, not to disagree with anything, but my favorite superhero movie is The Dark Knight, which marries both together brilliantly. Yeah. And this one, I don't know, it just didn't do much for me. And I hate to say it, because these are exactly what I like. And I think you're right. I like the fact that we're now in an era where the superhero genre is being treated in a realistic way, and it's about the characters, even in the MCU and much things. It's about characters and stuff like that. So I agree with that. I would just agree to disagree with this. I just thought it was a bit dull. And you know me, I very rarely just have big disagreements with people, you know,
Yeah.
but it just didn't do much for me. And I think this, at the end of the year, possibly be one of my big disappointments. It's not terrible at all, but I just didn't do too much for me.
So I take this over any MCU stuff personally. They do nothing for me, like here, right in the heart department. So
What was that, Stefan?
I said I disagree with that. Sorry, Linda.
Okay, no, fair enough. No.
I think it's
people are allowed to disagree. You know, I think out of all the MCU films, the ones with Captain America are my favorite because they deal with the sort of like this guy who's having sort of inner turmoil. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in people whacking themselves over the head and laser beams and all that bullshit. You know, I'm interested in people feelings. You know.
Yeah, those fairground.
Finding the Way Back with Ben Affleck. It's all about inner turmoil.
It's all about inner turmoil. Yeah, those fairground attractions, as Martin Scorsese calls them. But hey, it is one of those movies that I think mass audiences watching on Netflix will probably get something out of. I'm sure, both from the characters and the story and from the action stuff. So there's a bit of everything for everybody, whether you like it or not. You can tell us in the comments below. Let's do scores then. So Linda, what's your score for this one?
Oh,
Quattro. Stefan Pape.
I go slightly low. I go 3.5 for this one. But I'm just surprised if someone said to me, "Do you want to watch a film about immortals?" I just no, I can't be bothered. But this was good. So 3.5.
Yeah. Well, if RIPD is your ceiling, then you should be all right. I was slightly, on my review that I wrote, slightly generous and gave it 2.5. So I'm between a 2 and a 2.5. That's where I sit. But where do you sit? Let us know below in the comments below. The Old Guard is on Netflix as of July the 10th. I'm pretty sure this is a worldwide release for everybody to enjoy. As ever.
Please, people who are fans of Marvel, please don't hate me for saying what I said.
Yeah, don't look at what's the old saying? Don't look in the comments, Linda. How dare you besmirch Tony Stark? He's dead. That's a spoiler, but it was a year ago, so whatever. But yes, sorry,
he's dead.
Tony Stark's dead. Yeah. Classic stuff. I've ruined another one. What was it? I remember last year we did a review, didn't I? And I said something that was a spoiler and Dave hadn't seen it and he went absolutely mad at me, like live on air. That was hilarious. Anyway, yes, so that's the review of The Old Guard. There's a few other reviews going up for this week. We've talked about Ben Affleck's new film, Finding the Way Back. We've also talked about Tom Hanks's new film, Greyhound, which is going on Apple TV. You can check those out on the channel, as well as all the amazing interviews and features that are going up on the YouTube channel and over at HeyUGuys.com. But make sure on YouTube to smash that little thumbs up button, to give us a like on the video, and subscribe to our awesome YouTube channel that has now just passed 100,000 subscribers. So thank you very much. We haven't said that on video, so there we go. Thank you to everybody who's subscribed over the years. Dave and John's little email exchange all those years ago has become something quite mega. And leave your comments below once you've seen the film. We'll be back next week, I'm sure, with some more reviews. Until next time, we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!